is Henry from God Dethroned, and you're watching Steelworks.
Hello and welcome to episode 23 of Steelworks. Our guest for this episode is Henry Sattler, frontman of Dutch death metal legends God Dethroned. The band is releasing their newest album, The Judas Paradox, today, so there's no better time than now to purchase the record and listen to everything that's behind it in Henry's own words for Steelworks. Sit back, enjoy the interview, horns up, and stay heavy. First things first, the Judas Paradox is almost out, and some of us have been lucky enough to listen to it entirely, like myself. In my opinion, it's certainly God Dethroned's most mature album to date, both in technical and lyrical terms. However, what is your opinion? Do you share the same opinion?
I think every musician thinks that the latest album they did is the best they ever did. And so I guess the same goes for me. Yeah, I'm really proud of this album. It's a really good album. It turned out great. Songwriting is great. Recording is great. Mix is great. Everything's great. And if you ask me the same question again in 2 years from now, I can probably say more details. This song turned out really well, also live, blah, blah, blah. And that song didn't do so well live after all, It's so many things to discover. But I am very happy with the album, how it turned out with the songwriting. Like you said, it's very mature, it's very diverse. I guess people just have to listen to it to find out.
On another note, but still speaking of the technical part, for instance, Dave's solos are of the highest order, which make the record shine a bit more. But the addition of newcomer Frank on the drums also helps the album be what it is. How did things happen with Frank after Michel left God Dethroned? And was it a smooth transaction?
It was very smooth. I mean, Michiel wanted to be a session drummer, and I wanted a steady band. I just wanted a fixed drummer in the band and not work with session drummers. So Michiel went his own way, and we went our own way. I knew Frank from a previous band I played in. Mm-hmm. I played for a little while in a band called Dictated. I basically was just helping them out for a while. And Frank was playing in that band. So I knew him from the band. I knew he was playing really well. So it was an obvious choice for me to ask him to play in God Dethroned. He said yes. And now it's already, he's in a band for 4 years or something.
Judas Paradox talks about Judas not being the traitor of Jesus, unlike what is usually said by the church. Can you tell us a bit more about that theory? How did it came out? How did it came out, the Judas Paradox, the name itself, and the idea that Judas was not the traitor of Jesus Christ?
It's actually very simple. I thought about the idea that Judas may have been just a scapegoat instead of the real betrayer. And that fact alone made me do research. I usually always do research before I write a song. Mm-hmm. So I started doing research, and I found out that there's 2 stories in the Bible about Judas Iscariot. One story is a story that everybody knows. And the other story is written by another disciple, and he wrote that Jesus could look into the future and could see that there was the big plan for him to be killed, to be able to return as king of the world, and that Judas was the chosen one to fulfill this plan. So this is something I did not make up myself. This is something that's actually in the Bible. So I took this fact and I wrote the lyric from the standpoint of Judas, where he describes that he's one of the 12 disciples, that he's proud of it, that he saw Jesus as his brother, blah, blah, blah. Then later on in the song, it's about the betrayal part. And then when the clean singing starts, which is done by Dave, our lead guitar player, he sings the part from Jesus towards Judas, and he explains, please don't blame me for what I did, but I died for a greater good, and you were the chosen one to fulfill the plan. So it basically means that Judas did not act in free will, but because Jesus knew what was going to happen, he was just a victim of this whole plan and not the perpetrator of a betrayal.
Mhm.
So in fact, he was innocent, and that's what the Judas paradox is about.
Okay. So this doesn't come from, for instance, apocryphal texts or something like that, but it's actually in the Bible. You read this in the Bible, yeah?
It is in the Bible, my friend. Just look it up on the internet.
Mhm.
You will find the information, and it says also. I forgot the name of the guy who wrote it in the Bible. There's so many of them.
Sure.
I forgot. Doesn't matter. But you will find on the internet that there's two contradicting stories in the Bible about Judas Iscariot, and I used the story that nobody uses, and I used it as a topic for the song "The Judas Paradox."
That's interesting that you mentioned that you research a lot before you write an album. That's pretty clear, definitely. For instance, you made two brilliant videos to promote the new records, which are the Judas Paradise, which we just talked about, but also my favorite, Rat Kingdom. I mean, I know you're a World War One historian, but in the Rat Kingdom, you even include a concept which is called the Liber Catenatus. Now, I know very well what that concept is, as I'm a journalist. We learned this in journalism school, but I was not aware that you knew also about things like what a Liber Catenatus was. I mean, you really do research a lot towards the lyrics, right?
Yeah, of course, but there's also a lot of room for fiction. And
Mhm.
Red Kingdom is a very simple text. It's not a very complicated text. Red Kingdom is about the fact that the Vatican is hiding many things. There's many secrets hiding in the Vatican that will never see the light of day. I think everybody knows that. And nobody knows what is being hidden there, and nobody knows if it's good or bad or terrible or evil. But everybody knows that it will never come out of the Vatican. It is a place that is invincible for the common people. So I wrote a song about somebody who's searching inside the Vatican for the secrets, but he will never come out with the secrets. And that's what the song is about. It's a very, very simple song about a very simple idea. I think that's resonating with a lot of people. I think everybody can relate to this point of view.
This time around, you trusted Tony Lindgren to take care of mastering the new record. Well, it makes sense. I mean, Tony right now is very, very hot. What was it like working with him for the first time? And at the same time, why Tony?
Well, I asked Tony because he's working in probably the hottest studio in Europe at the moment. It's Jens Bogren's Fascination Street Studios, which is the place to go to if you can afford it. We could have afforded it, but we didn't do it because our process is too complicated to book a studio far ahead. We started songwriting early fall last year, and we were finished only in January. We started recording immediately because we didn't need a specific studio. We all have our own studio rooms to work in. And I did mix, so there was no real use for a studio. But if you want to record or have an album mixed in Fascination Street, you have to book it at least 6 months to a year or even more, perhaps, up front. And that's not something that really works for us. But mastering is something else. You deliver a finished product to the guy who's doing the mastering. Tony Lindgren is already there for 15 years. It's a top-notch studio, and Tony is doing metal bands non-stop, so he knows how to make a great album even better. So I sent him an email and said, Tony, would you like to do that? He said, yes, no problem, send over the stuff. He was really happy with the quality that I sent him. And like I said, he made a great album even sound even better. So next time I will go back to him for sure.
How do you think things are right now in terms of economy, regarding bands, regarding tours, regarding you name it, the metal world?
Since the pandemic, life has gotten so much more expensive. In our country and probably all over Europe, we had 15% inflation, meaning everything got 15% more expensive. Yeah, that's a lot of money. So food became expensive, fuel became expensive. Everyday regular life became really expensive. So to go on tour is also very expensive. And to be able to make some money, you need to sell a lot of merchandise. Because that's where the money is, because the production costs of tours are so expensive, traveling is so much more expensive, that you need to compensate the loss of the extra costs. And so everybody tries to do that by selling more t-shirts, CDs, vinyl, cassettes, you name it. And that goes for everybody, also for the bigger bands. And yeah, I don't know if it will ever get back to normal. I guess not. I think this is the new situation that will stay like this for from now on.
Well, I'm trying to at the same time, this brings new questions. For instance, when will a band stop playing when they're 90 and they're 100? You know what I'm trying to say? You know what I mean? Because everyone has to make a living, of course, but at the same time, I mean, all I see right now is every band, even larger bands, like God Dethroned, like Destruction, for instance, they're constantly touring exactly because they don't sell as many records as they did, So when will this stop? Do you think there's an alternative to this?
Oh, well, I guess if you have a lot of streams on Spotify and YouTube and Deezer and Apple Music and what have you, then you could also get a good income. But normally the record company takes their share of the streams, and if you get an advance, then you have to earn it back by selling CDs and earning streams. Yeah. I mean, since the old streaming services were set up, buying CDs is not necessary anymore. Plus, the amount of releases is so high every month. You could not even buy 5% if you wanted to, because it's way too many CDs you would have to buy. Let alone when can you listen to it and do you like it or not. If you're listening to Spotify, for example, and you don't like something, you just skip it. When you speak about touring, we haven't toured that much in the last 10 years. So I cannot say that we are trying to compensate anything by doing more tours. I mean, I don't know what the future will look like, but you cannot make more money by doing more tours because the scene is too small. Even if you're a big band, you can only come by so many times in a year, or maybe once a year. Otherwise, people will stay home because you're not going to the same band 5 times in a year normally, right, unless you're a really big fan.
Yeah.
So you cannot compensate. You can only make more money with live shows if you play more countries. So Europe, US, Canada, South America, or Latin America, Australia, New Zealand, but the costs of traveling are very high. So then you have to try to find countries that are new. There are certain countries in the East where you can play if you're not too anti-Christian. I could never play those countries because I would go to prison there. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, it's not so easy. And Ukraine and Russia were markets for metal bands in the past
I know.
until recently. But now everybody lost Ukraine as a market and everybody lost Russia as a market to play.
Of course. Of course.
That doesn't help, but it's what it is, and I don't know what to do about it.
As a final question for you guys, you are about to embark with Ultimus and also Batushka in a couple of weeks, like 2 weeks or 3 weeks from now. I mean, I know all of those bands. What are your expectations here? This time around, you won't be coming to Portugal again, unfortunately. But it's a hell of a lineup, man. I mean, you're going to play England, you're going to play Italy.
We'll start in the east, and then we move our way to the west. So we start Romania, Bulgaria, Czech Republic, Slovakia, Hungary, Austria, Switzerland, Italy, Germany, the Netherlands, Belgium, England, Scotland, Ireland. So that's going to be the tour, basically.
Okay.
And then we'll have to do another tour to play the countries where we don't play on this tour. So we'll be back more in the south, like early next year, probably. And but looking forward to the tour. It's going to be exciting. Nice bands, cool bands. So yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Okay. On the other hand, 2025, like you said, you're going to do a tour with countries where you're not going to visit this time around. It will be your 35th anniversary. Do you have anything planned special? Any special shows? Any special ideas that you can share for 2025? Since it's 35 years on the road.
It should happen early next year if it happens. It's not 100% planned yet because there was so much going on lately that I put it aside, and we will make a definite plan very soon. But it would be great to do something like that, something really special, a special occasion, maybe a special merchandise for the night, something to remember us by for that specific moment that we are 35 years in existence.
The space of devils who were for me. Know this human being, but you know this lot of the war machine.